Are you trying to figure out which lenses are best for wedding photography? The right lens can help you capture everything from emotional close-ups to that sweeping ceremony landscape. But with so many options out there, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially when you're trying to build a kit that's versatile, reliable, and affordable. Brenda and I have been photographing weddings professionally since 2011, and while we're only taking a few events each year now, we certainly have some opinions on equipment. Wedding photography is one of the most rewarding yet challenging types of photography. You're capturing once-in-a-lifetime moments under pressure in all types of lighting, often in fast-paced conditions. So what lens you choose, it really matters. Over the years, our gear has evolved, with some lenses that stick with us, others not so much. In this video, I'm going to simplify your decision-making by walking you through the best lenses for wedding photography and why they matter. By the end of this video, you'll know how different focal lengths affect your style and storytelling, the must-have lenses every wedding photographer should consider, and how to build a flexible kit that works in any lighting or location. I'll also share what lenses I recommend for each category. My name is Mark Bergerine. I'm a professional photographer and filmmaker, and here on YouTube, I help thoughtful photographers simplify their gear, elevate their vision, and shoot with purpose. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our weekly videos. As always, I'll link to all the gear that I talk about in the description below, so I appreciate you using those links to shop. It's a great way to support the channel. All right, let's talk about why lens choice matters. The lens you choose impacts everything from the emotion in a portrait to how you handle low light, motion, and framing. It's not just about image quality. It's about your style, your workflow, and your ability to move through wedding day efficiently. Do you need all the fanciest, most expensive lenses? Definitely not. You need the right focal lengths and the tools to help you for how you shoot. For example, I mostly shoot the 35mm during getting ready and the 70-200mm during ceremonies and outdoor portraits. I wouldn't want to carry both of those lenses all day. So think about your flow. Here's what to consider when picking lenses. Your photography style. Are you documentary or portrait focused? Lighting. Are you indoors a lot or outdoors a lot? Versatility. Do you need a flexible zoom or can you use a prime and zoom with your feet? Weight. After 8 to 12 hours of the 70-200, it's going to feel a little different. Budget. This is a business. Don't overspend when you don't need to. I'm going to recommend some third-party lens options because they often have a great value. And as we talk through my lens recommendations, I want you to think about all the aspects of your photography because it will help you build a kit that makes sense for you. Best wedding photography lenses. Let's talk about some of the must-have lenses and focal lengths to consider for your wedding photography. I'll also mention the ones that I actually keep in my wedding kit and why. First up, wide-angle lenses. My favorite lens, the 16-35mm lens f2.8. I love this lens for storytelling. It allows me to include the environment, whether I'm shooting the bride getting ready at 35mm or sunset portraits in the mountains at 20mm. A wide-angle lens helps you capture the full scene. Think about ceremony locations, dance floors, dramatic landscapes, and during portraits. You don't need to use it all the time, but it's a powerful tool when you want to include architecture or emphasize the scale of a place. It also forces you to get close into the action, which is great for impactful storytelling. However, be careful of distortion, especially when you're shooting at 16mm around the edges of your frame. It's going to look a little wonky. If you're shooting at 16mm or any in that wider focal length, try to keep your camera squared up and level, and that'll help you reduce that distortion. We also use the 35mm prime a lot. It's fast, it's lightweight, and it's ideal for things like the bride walking down the aisle or candid moments that happen unexpectedly. Other wide-angle lenses you could consider are the 28mm or the 24mm. Both of these feel, personally, a little too wide, but some people really like them. To me, the 24 feels especially wide, and I prefer the view of the 35mm because it allows you to emphasize the subject, and it's not just capturing the 24mm scene. A 28mm is okay, but it's still a little too wide for my taste in wedding photography. I'll link to the wide-angle lenses I recommend for Sony, Canon, and Nikon in the description below, so go down and check those out and help support the channel. I'll also, in a future video, be going through all the options of a 35mm lens for Sony cameras and all the options and what I think is the best. So be sure you're subscribed so you get notified when that video comes out. Okay, so we talked about wide-angle lenses. Let's talk specifically about prime lenses. They're typically f1.4, f1.8, or lower aperture. You're looking at the 35, the 50, the 85, 135. They give you that shallow depth of field and work well in low light. I use primes when I want to be intentional about composition and when I want to create images with more emotion and intimacy, like portraits, couples photos, detail shots, those types of things. I also use them to hide distractions in the background and shoot in very dark rooms. A 35mm is great for environmental portraits and storytelling. Check out one of our most popular videos up here, link in the corner, on how to shoot with a 35mm lens. A 50mm is classic and versatile. I'm actually shooting on it here. We use a 55 from Sony, but essentially the same thing. It can be super affordable depending on the one you choose from your camera brand. An 85mm lens gives you that dreamy background blur and flattering compression for portraits. I tend to grab this lens when I'm shooting the ceremony from further away so as not to be intrusive. The bokeh is beautiful, and the sharp focus and background blur can really emphasize a specific subject. Alternatively, a 135mm is another option if you want maximum bokeh. It's limiting to use indoors, but creates nice compression and bokeh. Check out this video if you want to see my review of the Samyang 135mm lens. I'll link to my favorite prime lenses for each camera system: Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fuji and Olympus, but I'll link to those main ones down in the description. These primes are all going to give you bokeh, sharpness, and a really intimate image quality. In addition, something to think about with prime lenses is that wedding days often extend into the night. So if you don't have a versatile lighting setup, a prime lens can be a great option to extend your ability to take photos in dark conditions. All right, next let's talk zoom lenses. You're looking at the 24-70, 70-200, and 16-35. I already talked about the 16-35 in the wide angle section, so the next lens you might look at is the 24-70mm. I recommend the f2.8, but it also often comes in an f4 version. It's what I'm shooting on right here. If I had to shoot a wedding with just one lens, the 24-70 might be it. It covers wide group portraits, couples portraits, and even some detail shots. It's a go-to for many wedding photographers because it covers all those focal ranges all in one lens. It's perfect for fast-paced moments where you don't have time to switch lenses. Think getting ready, ceremonies, receptions, and family portraits. The downside is that I think this lens makes kind of lazy images. It often makes things look sort of generic. f2.8 isn't really that fast, and it's not enough to give you significant bokeh. You want to think f1.8 or less. 24mm isn't that wide, 70mm isn't that tight, and in my opinion, this lens can make your images just look a little meh, unless you're really intentional with how you shoot. The f2.8 aperture helps in low light, and you still get a bit of subject separation. It's just not the best at any one thing, but it does everything relatively well. However, this is often the first lens I reach for when I need to move quickly and cover a lot of ground. When I'm shooting video and photo at the same time, I'll often keep this lens on so I can get a variety of angles without rebalancing my gimbal. Personally, I love the Sigma 24-70 version 2 for Sony cameras. For Canon, there's an affordable 28-70, but the difference between 28mm and 24mm is noticeable. If you don't have another wide-angle lens that's wider than 28, the 28-70 is going to be a bit limiting. For Nikon, check out the 28-75mm. All right, in addition to the mid-range zoom, that 24-70, a 70-200 is a great wedding lens. It's classic. It comes in the f2.8, and this here is the f4 version. We always have one in the bag. It's perfect for ceremonies, candids, and getting images from a distance when you can't get close. It also works great for some compression of the mountains, especially at sunset. The compression and background blur on this lens are excellent. And the lens flare specifically on this model is great when you're shooting into the sun. The downside is it's big and heavy, especially if you have the f2.8 version, but the results are often worth it. We just choose to be a little more strategic about when we use it: ceremonies, portraits. I tend to opt for the f4 version because it's a little bit lighter, and there's even a newer version that I'm looking to review that improves on the weight of that lens. If you find yourself shooting indoors a lot, definitely opt for the f2.8 version. And quick reminder, if you're finding this useful, consider subscribing. Also, while you're down there, you can check out the gear list linked in the description. And if you're ready to shop for your next lens, that'll give you some guidance. All right, let's talk macro lenses. A dedicated macro lens is great for detail shots. Think rings, flowers, invitations, or other close-ups that might help tell the story of the day. I'll be honest, this isn't really our style and we don't use a macro lens, but if you plan to shoot small details, a 100mm macro lens is a great option. While some zooms can get close, a true macro lens gives you that sharpness and magnification that other lenses can't match. It's a great addition to round out your kit, especially if you're shooting in an editorial style with a lot of focus on details. Wedding planners will love you if you deliver photos of the flowers and centerpieces and all those little items that they can put into a blog post. You'll have to decide if that's a priority for you and your clients. I think that rounds out most of the options. Let me know in the comments what gear you're missing from your kit. I'd love to help you decide. Next, let's talk about how to actually build a wedding photography kit that's gonna work for you. So how do you build a kit of lenses that's gonna work for you? Brenda and I often split focal lengths throughout the day. So while she's shooting a wide lens, I'm shooting a telephoto. It gives our couples a variety of storytelling perspectives. But if you're by yourself, I recommend using 2 cameras. And if you only have 1 camera, I would say go for that mid-range zoom lens. If you're just starting out, you might start with 2 or 3 lenses. You got to think through your style. Are you the fashion-focused photographer in LA, or are you the mountain photographer in Montana? It's gonna drive a little bit of your style based on what lens you choose. You might be drawn to the photojournalistic style of a 35mm lens, or you might want the big mountain views compressed into a beautiful image with the 70-200, or maybe even a 100-400. Or maybe you shoot really fast-paced weddings and it's all very stressful, so you just want to have one simple lens. Go with the 24-70. So think about what style you're drawn to and let that drive what lens you choose. Let's walk through an example. Here's a simple 3-lens setup. You might choose the 24-70 for all-purpose coverage, then 85mm for portraits, and a 35mm for storytelling and shooting in low light. As you grow, you might add on a 70-200, maybe an f4, a little bit more affordable, for ceremonies and compression. And you might add a wide-angle zoom lens for epic landscapes, or if you're shooting in tight indoor spaces and you need more room in your lens. You don't need everything right away. Rent, borrow, build slowly based on what you shoot most and what you think you're actually going to use. With gear, we always remind you that simple is best. Having a whole bunch of lenses that you don't use is not only a waste of money, and it's also a waste of energy trying to decide which one you're going to grab at which time. So, to recap, a 24-70 is a great all-around lens, but beware of generic-looking images. Fast primes give you creative control and are great in low light. Consider the 85-35 combo. A 70-200 gives you beautiful compression and reach, but it gets heavy if you have to carry it all day. Wide angles add drama and capture context, making the 16-35 one of my go-to lenses. Macros, if you're into detail and you really want to nail that editorial style. And your kit should grow with your skills. Don't buy everything at once. Okay, I said I would mention what's currently in our bag. So right now in Brenda's bag, she has the 35, the 55, and the 85. They're great in low light, beautiful bokeh, and they force her to be creative with her compositions. In my bag, you'll find the 16-35, the 70-200, and the 24-70. I love the 16-35 for our signature landscape portraits, and the 70-200 for incredible mountain views and lens flare shooting into the sun. I use the 24-70 when I'm shooting video, and we both shoot 2 camera bodies with 2 different lenses during the day. Throughout the rest of the day, we're able to trade around lenses based on if one of us has a specific vision we're trying to capture. It's a little bit of a unique shooting style that we've developed over the years, and if you're by yourself and you have a second shooter, your kit is going to look different. It's also a style we've developed because we shoot both photo and video. I also think it's part of why our image galleries that we deliver to our clients are so diverse, which can be more challenging if you're only shooting the 24-70 or a 35-85 combo. So while I always preach that simple is best, I acknowledge that we do have a lot of lenses and gear in our kit. The thing is that whenever we're choosing a lens, we're choosing it for a specific intentional reason to make a specific image. So that's why we have a lot of choices. My advice to you is that whether you're gonna rock 6 lenses or 1 lens, make sure that it's an intentional choice and that it's going to work for you and earn a place in your bag. So that was a lot of information. Let me know if you have questions about your setup or you want us to talk about a specific lens that we talked about here in a future review. Leave a comment down below. My name is Mark Bergerine. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you think through your lens choices, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And you can join our community of photographers that are trying to shoot with intention and simplify their gear. Next up, I recommend you check out this video on our wedding photography tips. I will see you over there.